Hi and welcome back once again. Today I'm going to give you a very short blog just on documentaries and some of my favourite documentaries. They can be a great resource for just trying to find out new topics to study and also to educate yourself on current goings on politically, in the food industry and pharmaceutical industry and so on. So I would always say when you watch a documentary, enjoy it, see what it has to say, and then do your own research just on topics. But there's some that I really specifically like, and I think if you're ever travelling or if you've got a couple of hours free and you want to watch some good informative films, then these are some great places to start. So the first one I'd like to go through is one called Sweet Misery. I love Sweet Misery. I think it's a brilliant film, heightens the importance of us looking at sweeteners. Specifically, this one's about aspartame, or aspartame, depending where you're from. And it does show that I think some of the information on aspartame is very misleading. I think if by watching some of these documentaries, it just makes you think about hopefully removing products such as that from your diet, from your intake, but at least absolutely minimising it to as little as possible, because I think, as we're all well aware, things like aspartame, MSG and so on are so hidden in our food that you can't always be certain to get rid of everything. But I think if you limit it and you make choices not to knowingly put these products in your body, then that can help a lot. So Sweet Misery is one I would highly recommend watching. One that's also very informative, very shocking what actually happens. It's quite an old documentary now. Is Supersize Me by Morgan Spurlock. A lot of people have already seen that film, but if you haven't, I would suggest it quite highly. I think you see a lot of what can happen very rapidly in a highly processed diet, a diet of poor food quality and quantity, and you'll see the rapid decline in someone's health who was very healthy prior to effectively going on a 30-day or 31-day McDonald's binge. So do watch that one. A good introduction into some of the information that you're not told about food is Food Inc. Again, with all these documentaries, they're what I would consider a lead into doing your own research, but Food Inc's very eye-opening. You start to see how little variety there actually is in a lot of the food that we consume, and therefore all about getting back to primal, getting back to the foundations that make us healthy. So eating good clean food, cooking it from scratch, vegetables, fruits, good quality, organically or better raised meat, mild meat, etc. So that's another good one. I'm going to scoot through these quite quickly. A very interesting one is Food Beware, which is a documentary about a town in France that decided to go all organic as a town because of the effects that certain farming practices had on the health of farmers in the area. I believe that was subtitled, but it's a good watch, so if you can watch that, do. Future of Food is quite an older documentary now, and that one's another Morgan Spurlock production, and that is looking at GMOs and the effects of food engineering on our possible well-being and health. So again, that's a good one to have a look at some of the science behind it. And there's a few other ones that I would give a nod to as well. Following on from, I suppose, the future of food, there's a couple. One is one I watched recently, actually. I only watched it in September. I hadn't been aware of it until then. And that's one called GMO OMG. And again, that's looking at GMOs and their effect on our health and the arguments over the effects on our health, and actually when we look into the reality of how much study has been done into their safety, it's quite shocking how very little. And this is actually a chap who trying to look after the health of his son decides to go and look into GMOs and what they are. Yeah, that's a really interesting film. I enjoyed that one quite a lot. Another one which kind of goes down the same route that I tried to, I suppose, teach or discuss on this channel is The Perfect Human Diet, and that talks about or gives an overview of how we've eaten for millions of years and how very recently we've changed our diet quite rapidly. And it seems that coinciding with that, we've seen a big decline in health, overall health and well-being of the population. So again, it's a good eye-opener. It gets you onto that very simple approach of getting the foundations right, eating right, breathing right, drinking good clean water, sleeping, thoughts, get everything right, and movement obviously as well. So the final one, which I watched I think on a flight over to Portugal when I was getting ready for the retreats that I've started holding out there, is one by a guy called Joe Cross, Fat, Sick and Nearly Dead. And this is a documentary about his experiences when he was very unwell, suffered with a condition called urticaria, was on lots of different medications, and basically decided enough was enough. He was going to juice for 60 days whilst driving across America, and just see if he could save his own life and his own health through juicing vegetables and fruits and so on. And some pretty amazing results. Although I will preface with that one that he does return to a normal food-based diet after a period of time, and it's pretty intense what he goes through. So that's just some. There are plenty of others. I'd like to tip a hat to one called The Cure Is You, or The Cure Is. It's got a lot of discussion from top, I suppose, well-known experts in the field of health, and they discuss a lot of the approach of looking at yourself as your own cure, which I definitely agree with. I think our own doctors are best within ourselves, obviously, and that doesn't mean that when we're in really bad health that we don't need help from orthodox medicine, from therapists and so on. Of course we do, but if you really want to get to the root cause of a lot of your health problems, then I do suggest looking inward at ourselves and see where we're making the wrong choices. So yeah, hopefully that will help, and you might get some good viewing out of those. If you really want me to take it down to 3, I would say Sweet Misery is a must. I think a lot of my clients were always shocked when they watched that one. I think Food Inc. maybe is a pretty good documentary. And I think for enjoyment factor, I would go Super Size Me. But if you've seen that, then I would probably go Fat, Sick and Nearly Dead. And they're a really interesting watch. So yeah, look after yourselves. I hope to speak with you all soon, and I'll be bringing more blogs hopefully into the new year. Share, pass on in whatever through social media. You can follow me on YouTube, subscribe below, or you can follow on Facebook. Just type in Back to Primal, and you can also follow me on Twitter now. I'm on Twitter and Instagram as well. So getting out there on the social media and trying to get those numbers up. So look after yourselves, take care, be primal.